We're now going to turn to what it might mean for businesses and residents. Now, I have with me Andrew Pledger. Now, he's the Ecosystems Manager at Barclays Eagle Labs. And Eagle Labs' mission is to connect the UK's entrepreneurial ecosystem through a network of business incubators, expertise, and support. Now, Andrew believes that supporting technology startups and scale-ups accelerates, innovates, and stimulates the right type of economic growth. And this is also the view that's shared by local authorities, governments, and other organisations. Now, Barclays Eagle Labs loves to collaborate as well. Collaborate with like-minded organisations to help them support local economies. Andrew.
Cool. Hello, everyone. So, as mentioned, I'm Andrew from Barclays Eagle Labs, and I'm ecosystem manager there. I cover Kent, and as mentioned, my role is essentially to identify ambitious businesses and help them to scale and grow. So, what is Barclays Eagle Labs? It started off, I think, about 6 or 7 years ago now. When our then COO, now retired, much beloved Stephen Roberts, basically just said, I'm really bored of going to the same branches all the time and I do something different, please. And they said yes, and said, here are 3 branches that we have closed down. We're still not paying the lease. You've got a year to figure out how to pay for them. And that was basically the whole brief, as far as I'm aware, that he was given. It initially started out with just focusing on building community, which I'll come back to towards the end, and being led pretty much by the people that were coming into the space. So when the branch closed, I think we were getting a very, very, very low footfall of traffic through there. And then in the first 6 months of the Brighton one where I was based at the time, we had 10,000 people come through the door. At that stage, we didn't know what we were. And we were basically kind of almost canvassing people for like, what would you like Eagle Labs to become? We had a few businesses who were kind of meeting people in there as like a community area, ask and say, hey, is there a way that we can kind of base ourselves here in a more permanent way? And then Stephen at that point was like, hey, maybe we're a co-working space. That's now evolved fairly substantially now, where we're a network of co-working spaces, primarily we're a business support function for the UK's high growth ecosystem. And that's made easier by having a bunch of co-working spaces, essentially. So talking of co-working spaces, I'm based in the wonderful Discovery Park over in Sandwich, as you can see in the picture. We're just sort of roughly in the middle, I don't know if you can see my mouse on the screen. And that is pretty much what half of the Eagle Lab looks like. We've got more offices and things like that around the side. But again, it's somewhere that acts as the kind of hub for the whole site. And then through the work that I do around Kent, the whole of Kent. So just a very quick slide on our kind of impact so far. This is actually a little bit out of date now, but I haven't got the new stats for it yet, but this is as of October last year, I think. And as you can see, we've supported over 13,000 businesses. And I think we've now crossed 5 billion in funding for all of our alumni network. I've spoken a lot about supporting these businesses and helping them grow. And how do we actually do that? So this is probably actually my most hated slide because it's very dense. I don't imagine a lot of you can see the very small text on there. But essentially what we do is we offer things like mentoring. We have online learning platforms. We have accelerator programs that are either targeted to a specific part of a business's journey or specific industries looking to address particular kind of pain points within those industries. We engage with businesses right from the very, very early stage of like, I've got an idea in the back of my head. I think it might be the next big thing, up to established companies who are looking to scale from where they've got to already, plateauing, right up to kind of large corporates who are looking to engage with those smaller startups to kind of liven up what they're doing. I normally mention this much sooner in the presentation, but everything we do, apart from co-working rental, is completely free to engage with. we don't make you bank with Barclays. We don't take equity, IP, or any of the other weird, wonderful things that people think we're going to take from their business. It is genuinely a no strings attached service that we offer. The kind of vision is basically for we're helping the UK's economy to grow. We're a large bank based in that economy. There's probably a good chance that's going to help us out in the long run as well. But again, there's no kind of hard sell of signing on a dotted line and signing away everything to us in any way, shape, or form. Probably about half the businesses, I'd say, that I support don't bank with us and might never, and that's completely fine. So I mentioned the growth programs element of it. The diagram on the right is the best way to kind of visualize essentially that kind of continuum of support that we offer. So things like product builder, very early stage stuff where the idea of exactly what you're going to do with your business isn't necessarily kind of fully crystallized, right up to scale up when you're looking at sort of Series A and further on. And we do engage with corporates and things like that right the way up through. The very kind of beginning to that journey, which is actually slightly before the start of that diagram, is our newly launched Eagle Labs Academy that we launched this year. As you'd imagine, when you say, hey, we're committing to support new growing businesses completely free, even if they're really early stage, suddenly hundreds of people come knocking at your door. We find a lot of the support is much of the same thing. So our kind of vision to solve that was the Eagle Labs Academy. So it's a self-serve learning platform. You go through a kind of questionnaire at the start to establish where you're at in terms of your knowledge with growing a business. And then the idea is that when you come to engage with an ecosystem manager like myself, that kind of baseline knowledge is there. You understand like accounting, general ideas of funding. You've got that kind of baseline knowledge so that essentially our day job isn't just teaching people the same like 4 or 5 things over and over again. And we can support in those much more kind of case-by-case niche situations. Here's an example of some of the modules we've got. As I said, it covers very early stage stuff like accounting, things like that. Right up to fundraising. We do things like leadership courses and things like that. Dealing with like the pitfalls of building a team, whether that's virtual, in-person stuff, completely hybrid, kind of covers all of that stuff. The next kind of big headline in our program is the Eagle Labs Funding Readiness program. So we partner with Capital Enterprise for that. And essentially, it's designed to upskill people who are looking to raise funding, who haven't raised before, or perhaps have tried to raise before and it didn't really go as well as you would hope. The idea is that you, at the end of the program, you can stand in front of a room of investors, pitch your idea confidently with a good pitch deck, and you're not going to think, oh God, what are they going to ask you awkward questions, things like that. You're prepared for everything and you really understand how to get that business funded and off the ground. And we actually currently have one that's open for applications at the moment. We're pretty much always either running one or have one open for applications. We do 4 a year. And I think DDS, you guys were on one of ours recently. I think you're an alumni of the Funding Readiness program. And it's kind of pretty much all virtual. And then we have a demo day at the end where we pick the kind of cream of that cohort to basically pitch to actual angel investors and people like that for investment. Our mentor and coaching service. So this, again, completely free. You can book multiple sessions with the same mentor. You can different mentors. We've got 97 last time I counted. They're all top quality mentors. People sometimes think they're going to be rubbish because they're free, but I think most of them actually do get paid by someone, whether it's us or the organization they work for that we partner with. So these are people who've really been there, done that. They really know their stuff. We wouldn't want to put mentors forward who just kind of think they can give some advice or whatever. These are people who really understand their specific subject matter and industries. These are the people we partner with. So Cambridge Business School, they cover the kind of general entrepreneurship mentoring. Capital Enterprise do everything funding related. Codebase are kind of like our tech and tech adjacent mentors. Probably the biggest bulk of our mentors are with Codebase. Accelerate Her, which are it's to female-led tech businesses, all together, which is kind of CEO to CEO mentoring. So companies that are a bit further in their stage, turning over sort of 400K plus. And that's around things like kind of scaling up your business, exit planning, M&A, things like that. Carbon 13 cover off all our sustainability initiatives. And then Ash Ventures are kind of global growth with a kind of big lean towards North America. I think we've got like two or three mentors with them. And then this is kind of towards the end of our sort of support continuum. Again, there are various other things we do in and around this. It's quite a sprawling proposition, but the kind of main bit where you're kind of ready to do it, it's like, okay, cool, well, I need X amount of money to do that. How do I get that? Demo Directory is what we've created to solve that problem. So it's a platform that allows businesses to kind of have a profile on there. We ask standardized questions of everyone. You do a quick kind of pitch video. It doesn't have to be a kind of full jazzy Kickstarter type thing. A lot of people just like record their own screen pitching to themselves, essentially. But basically, as long as you get the information across that you need to get across and you don't lie about anything, crucially, then that'll be fine for it. And these are some stats for the last count. There's quite a high sort of churn on there because we basically only want investors who are actively investing with investable capital. We only want startups who are actively looking to raise. So every 90 days, we'll kind of get back in touch with people to double check that. We don't want to put a business in front of an investor and they're really excited about. And it turns out they went under like 6 months ago and the thing was put on demo directory like 2 years ago. People would just stop engaging with the platform if we did that. So these numbers go up and down quite a lot. As you see at the bottom there, the range when I last checked was 20K to 56 million. So it's a huge gamut of fundraising. Likewise with the investors, it's a range of high net worth individuals, angels, up to sort of VCs, funds, huge range on there. So just a bit of stats around that, which will kind of lead me a bit more into that kind of community and location based thing we'll talk about at the end. These are some stats from our pilot program that we ran when we were launching the demo directory. And as you can see, the thing that we're probably most proud of, I'd say, is apart from the fact that almost 50% of the businesses raised within 6 months in our pilot, which we're very happy about, is that a huge portion of this funding isn't just like centered on like London, essentially. Obviously, it's the biggest circle, but you can see this stuff all the way up into like the North Scotland, down to the West Country, into Wales, all the way down into Kent. Like, it's something that we want to not have this kind of concentration of funding, because there are so many fantastic projects like what you guys are doing that are not necessarily like right in the middle of everything. They're out sort of not in the sticks, but in places that people generally aren't as aware of from the other side of the country. And hopefully the way we've built this platform means that it's something that will only get better. So we're not very exciting slides to switch over to for my last topic, but I just wanted to kind of shine a spotlight on one of the things that we've done in the past that's related to what you guys are doing, that kind of covers that sort of heritage community element. So this was the bus station in a place called Whitehaven, and pretty much everyone on our team had to Google where that was when we decided we were going to open a lab there. In partnership with the local council. It's all the way up in Cumbria. It's just up the coast from where Sellafield Nuclear Power Station is or was, depending on how you look at it. And it was a small kind of fishing town. Wasn't a huge amount of economic activity there. It was, a lot of the locals kind of felt like it was a bit on a decline. Kind of, why would you come to Whitehaven? There's nothing there. And we partnered with the local council there just to say, you know what, actually, let's do something here. Like, let's invest thoroughly in this project. This is what it looks like now. We have an Eagle Lab there with a fantastic team, Claire, John, and Zoe, who do a phenomenal job of crucially building a good community there. I know we've touched upon that quite a bit today, but I personally at least believe that's like the core of what makes these kinds of projects work. There's always an element of kind of build it and they will come, but if you just stop there, they'll just as easily bugger off again. You have to kind of nurture that community, keep things consistent, give people a reason to keep coming to that place, and really sort of believe in that project. There's a lovely shot of the inside, which is kind of pretty much the middle of that rubble pit in the first picture. And they are pretty much full to the brim as far as I know, which is great to see in a place like Whitehaven. I think somebody did a calculation. They were like, it was like 15% or something like that of like the overall CBD of Whitehaven is just this Eagle Lab that gives you this sort of idea of the sort of scale of the place versus the investment that was put into it. But again, it's just about creating that community, and people will look past things like, why are you all the way over there? It's again a challenge that we also have in Sandwich, is that we're pretty much as far into as you can get without going into the channel. But if you just keep building that community, keep nurturing those individuals and groups within that, it can create something that will really be a huge draw. The kind of realization of that was actually just after the pandemic, where I was based in the Brighton Eagle Lab, quite a small one, an old branch. It was a nice co-working space, but we had this absolutely like monolithic beast open up on the other side of Brighton. It was like hundreds of millions of ERDF money spent, like all singing, all dancing, and they had opened, and it took us a while to get back open after COVID. There's a lot of hoops to jump through and things like that. But we hosted kind of online get-togethers with our residents who were scattered all over the area. And 2 or 3 of them had started going to this place and thought it's just like, it's cheaper, it's bigger, it's got more facilities, it's nearer their houses and things like that. But the first question they'd always ask when they came onto these meetings was, when's the Eagle Lab opening back up again, and when can we come back in? And we said to them, it was like, why? Like, we thought we'd lost you to these guys, so they can pay less, it's nearer your house, it's got more stuff. And they were like, but that's, we're part of the Eagle Lab, like that's where we know everyone there, that's like where our community is. It's almost like a little bit of a family there. And that was the point, that realization of like actually nurturing that community spirit is what will keep things together regardless of where you are and what you're doing. And it really underpins ambitious projects and can kind of keep them going, basically. So that's pretty much me. I know I've kind of given a very kind of high-level overview of stuff, but I will be here till the end of the event. Please do come and chat to me, any questions and things like that. We'll have questions after the panel, I think. And if you'd like to engage with any of what we do, then yeah, please do get in touch.